So in this chapter, we're going to move into the planning of the walk cycle. For that, I have two really nice videos from a YouTube channel called Endless Reference, which provides a really nice both front and side view of different mechanics. In this case, we have a pretty neutral walk cycle, which is going to be great to understand the mechanics and the fundamentals behind it. And once you know all that, you can apply to different styles, different personalities, etc. So when we approach a walk cycle, we can think about it like a push forward motion, as you can see here on the hips. This way we have a slightly forward rotation, and then the foot catches up, and that way we avoid falling. Then we absorb the energy, and then push forward again, and the other foot catches up, and we avoid falling. And with this in mind, one of the key aspects of the walk cycle is we always have one foot on the ground. For example, in the run cycle, as we'll see later on during the planning, there's a few frames that we have both feet on the ground, off the ground, sorry, but in the walk cycle, we always have at least one foot on the ground. And knowing these basics points, we can then move into the breakdown of our key poses for the walk cycle. And for that, I'm gonna move into this video, which is the same exactly walk cycle, but we have a really nice grid, which is gonna help us, especially to track the highest and lowest point of our up and down and our side to side motion. So when it comes to the poses, the universal rule is usually break down in 4 poses, which are the contact, down, passing, and up, and then we back to contact. And for this, as therefore, a good rule of thumb is when we start animating the blocking to evenly spread them across the timeline. So for example, if we decide to go, let's say for a 24 frame cycle, we can put a key pose every 3 frames, and this way we give us like a really nice first pass on the timing that then we can like fine tune it later on. Also, when it comes to approach this, at the end of the day, is like each animator has a different approach. Some people like to start contact and follow the order of down, passing, and up. In my case, personally, I like to do contact and passing pose first, as I feel like with those 2 poses, our walk cycle starts to shape nicely, and then move into the extreme, which is the down and then the up pose, which, as the name indicates, they are both set the lowest and the highest point of our center of gravity. So moving to the contact pose, key aspects of this pose is obviously both feet are on the ground, as the name indicates. And here, as we said before with the theory of the push forward and then start falling, here is when the hips start to go low. That's why we plan the heel to start like absorbing that momentum. Also, if we look at the front view, the relation between hips and legs is actually quite balanced during this pose. And this also gives us a really nice, especially from the side, a really nice first pass when it comes to the relation between the distance between the legs and also between the center of gravity. Also, a really nice thing about this pose is it's gonna give us a first pass when it comes to the relation between legs, arms, torso, and hips. So usually when the foot forward, in this case, is the right one, then we're gonna have the left hand forward. And the other way around on the mirror pose. If it's the left foot, the one that is in front, we're gonna have the right hand, the one that is in front. And this is gonna give us also as well affecting a relation between chest and hips. In this case, the hips are gonna always favoring the foot that is gonna be forward, and the torso is gonna favor the arm that is gonna be forward. So in this case, as you can see, the hips going this way and the torso going this way, as you can see here. And on the mirror pose, it's gonna be the other way around. So we have the hips going towards here and the torso going there. And all this gives us a really nice starting point for both like the distance, the up and down, the rotation and the relation between arms, chest, legs and hips. So once we have all this, we move, as I said, into the passing pose, which for me is the second most important. And here there's a few aspects. The first thing is the hips or the center of gravity start to going up. So you can see here we drop on the down, which is the lowest point, and here is when we start going up. And also here the center of gravity, as we can see, if we create an arrow with the feet, here the center of gravity is aligned with the foot on the ground, as it's taking all the weight while the other foot is catching up in the air, which is this one. Because of this, you can see here as well, it's going to give us a really nice, especially if we check the front view, a really nice relation between torso and hips. Here people tend to think that because this foot is up, the hips are going to be like that, but it's actually the other way around. As this foot is actually absorbing all the weight, we're going to have the hip like that, because we need this to be perfectly straight. This way, it's going to give us a really nice contrapposto, which is when both the hips and the chest line are going opposite direction. And as you can see here, we have this really nice line. So we have this really nice contrapposto, and here we have it the other way around. So it's going to give us a lot of contrast in the animation. Also, another thing here that we can see is both arms are pretty centered in this pose, both on the front and especially on the side, as you can see here. So just with these two poses, we already have like a really nice, like both contacts. We have the streams on the arms. Here the arms are pretty centered as well. We have a bit of an up, so we'll see later on in Maya when we do the blocking, but just with these two poses pressing play, we already have a bit of a feel or how our work cycle is gonna look. So after this, we move into the extreme poses. As I mentioned, both the down and the up. So first, we'll cover the down pose. In here, as we plant our foot, is when the center of gravity reaches the lowest point. And it's also, if you see the front view, when the weight shifted to the maximum. In this case, it's going to shift towards the foot that is planted forward. So as you can see here, if we go frame by frame, you see how the hips going boom to the right, and then if we switch to the mirror pose, boom, it goes to his left in here. So that's usually the extreme when it comes to weight shift. Also as well, a few other key points on this pose is the back foot is about to leave the ground. It's literally the last point of contact in here. And also the arms are starting to ease into the motion. If we press play, you can see the arms don't move in a linear way. They are more like nicely reacting. So what we have is like we have here the extremes, and then when it comes back into the down, we have a really nice ease into the motion and then accelerate towards the passing, and the same keeps accelerating, and then we have the nice ease in here and then back. So we have that really nice motion, because at the end of the day, especially in neutral standard work cycle like this, the arms don't lead, they just react to the body, and this is gonna give us as well a subtle but really nice drag motion, especially on the hands. You can see here this hand how it goes a bit back, this one here. See, if this was a more cartoony shot, for example, we can come here, we could exaggerate this drag quite a bit, and this is gonna give us like a really nice motion in the arms. So once we have these key points on the down pose, we can move into the up pose, and in here there's a few key points to cover, which is first of all is when the hips gets to the highest point. You can see here on the passing start going up, and then it gets to the highest point here, and then start to drop into the contact. And also the center of gravity, the foot that is planted in here start raising a bit, as you can see. And then for the center of gravity on the front view, start to move towards the contact pose when it comes to wave shift. So in this case, as now the contact pose is gonna be the left foot, you can see how the shift of the weight is slowly leaning towards that foot in here. So then we can contact here and then boom, go into the maximum side, as we said before. As well, another note I wanted to point out, especially when we animate walk cycles in place, is once the foot like contact the floor in here, then while it's planted on the ground, it's gonna travel at a constant speed. So once we do contact, it's gonna move at a constant speed. That way, once we make our walk cycle, let's say for example in a game engine, or then we move it forward, we're gonna avoid foot sliding, which is very, very important. And also another note regarding the foot, and another detail that is gonna give us extra texture in the animation, is the side-to-side motion. We've been covering the side-to-side on the hips, but the foot has as well side-to-side. It's not just moving, in just one axis. So here, a nice way to simplify this is during the passing position. Here, the foot goes out a bit, and you can see as well in the rotation, and then when he goes back into the contact, the goes inwards, boom, and planted, and he gets here, more center. And just adding those two keys on both rotation and translation is gonna give us so much texture in the animation. So you can see here, the foot is not just like going in a straight line. And with this, we cover the main key points. I believe they are like good to keep in mind always when we craft those 4 poses. Obviously, once we start working on the blocking and then later on refining, we'll go deeper into the posing, into like the offset between arms, chest, hips and stuff. But with all this information, we can then like wrap up this chapter and then move into the walk cycle blocking.